Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today with another weekly check-in reading for the week of July 20th through July 26th, I believe. So let's see what we have. All right, we have a little card popping out. It's funny because this is the card of Leo. We are going to be moving into Leo season. The sun will be moving into Leo. Let's see what we have for this week. I hope you guys are doing okay, and I appreciate you guys watching. So let's see what we need to know this week. We have the 10 of Pentacles reverse. All right, what do we need to do? We have the 3 of Inspiration or the 3 of Wands. What do we have? Release as a collective. We have Death. What do we need to contemplate as a collective? We have the 3 of Cups reversed. So, interesting cards. And then with this card that just wanted to pop out, we'll see where that stands. And I think it's interesting, like I said, because it is the tarot I can't speak today. The tarot signifier for the sign of Leo. So let's just talk about why this is maybe significant for us this week. So strength is one of these cards that maybe reminds us that there's so many things that we are constantly overcoming. And so it's more about what it is that we have learned within ourselves. What sort of power do we have? How can we really choose to kind of show up in the energy of what we really truly need? And perhaps really having an understanding of what the beast within us is trying to express at this time. Now, the sun in Leo can signify a time where we're wanting to kind of focus a little bit more on the things that we love, more creative things, more warmth, allowing ourselves to really truly shine, being kind of led by the solar plexus and showing up in that energy of being more authentic and generous and really allowing ourselves to really truly shine. So here with the strength card, I think it's a reminder of it doesn't always have to be us overcoming and like manhandling a situation. Maybe it's more of the grace of really understanding our own inherent strength and moving from that space and allowing ourselves to kind of trust that what is happening is for our highest good, that things that we will know exactly what we need to do with the situation as it arises. So I think that this is maybe just an extra message to just kind of keep in mind, especially if we're currently going through situations that feel a little bit challenging, or maybe we feel like we've bitten off more than we can chew in some ways. I think that this is kind of saying like, okay, our strength is really an understanding that we can overcome, that we do have what is necessary to kind of move into the next thing and to really move forward in a way that really honors all that we are. And so even if, again, if things seem a little bit bleak, if things seem like it's been extremely challenging in some way, I think the strength card is kind of here as a reminder of like, hey, remember how powerful you are. You're not having to do this like in a way that is very inexperienced, and maybe don't let your fears be what dictates how you move into this next phase and the things that are kind of happening for you at this time. So what we need to know this week, we have the 10 of Pentacles reverse. Now, the 10 of Pentacles is typically a card of all of our hard work, dedication, our efforts coming to fruition in a very physical manifestation. This can really be a reminder of like what behaviors are we kind of leaning into. Now, when I think of the reverse 10 of Pentacles, is that we may feel like things aren't really coming together quite as quickly as we want. Maybe the culmination of all of our hard work and dedication isn't really paying out the way that we had intended. Or maybe we're just lacking some sort of clarity about what comes next. As we can see here, we have this beautiful little home on this card. And I feel like maybe it's kind of saying like, what does that feel like for you? Are you not feeling comfortable in your space? Maybe this is a great opportunity, especially with Mercury being retrograde, to redo and, reorganize and kind of find your footing about what home feels like for you. This may be a time where maybe you feel like you got to kind of move some of the energy around your home or your space, especially with this being what we need to know is that maybe some stuff is kind of stagnant. When I think of like the physicality of pentacles, this may also be a reminder that we need to kind of check back in with our physical bodies, that maybe we need to kind of look at our personal behavior. What are we doing with our career, our finances? Maybe there's something that just doesn't feel like we are quite where we want to be, or there's something that is still a little bit out of reach in some ways. And so there is a little bit of this reminder of like what we need to know is that we're not at the finish line. It's not the end. Maybe there's something that needs to shift, something that needs to change. Maybe we need to kind of review, how are we behaving? How are we treating ourselves? What are we settling for in some ways? What are all of our efforts really leading us up to? Because when I think of, even if we just look at the previous lesson, the 9 of Pentacles, which is very much about our well-deserved rewards in some ways, I think that this is almost saying like, what is it? Are we allowing ourselves to really move into, I deserve to have these things. I deserve to, really move in this way. And I deserve to have things that are more settled and feel a little bit more connected with what I'm doing with my physical life. And again, this may also just be a reminder that maybe we need to kind of go back into ourselves, kind of reconnect with our physical bodies. Maybe we've just been really going through the motions and kind of forgetting some of that strength, right? Because strength can also be something that's very physical. So I think that this is almost saying like, let's be very Leo-esque about ourselves this week and kind of connect a little bit more to like our personal strength, our physical body, kind of check back in with ourselves instead of just being so caught up in all of the things that are going on externally and not getting so distracted by everything else that we feel we need to kind of stress. So I think that this is maybe a reminder to kind of step back in, fix our own space in some way so that it can feel more at home for us. Now, for what we need to do, we have the 3 of Inspiration or the 3 of Wands. Now, to me, this is very much a card of like taking all of the things that we've learned, understanding that like we have the right plan in action, and kind of taken an opportunity to kind of go out there and do something with this. It's a very expansive sort of energy. It's asking us to, not to say like take a risk, so to speak, but maybe there's something that feels risky to us that maybe we need to kind of take a chance on. And this is a time to maybe not be so stuck at being just at home. Maybe we need to kind of plan for exploring in some way and kind of getting out of our own little bubble. I know for me personally, I've been really busy, so I haven't really had a lot of time to kind of enjoy the warmer weather or kind of move, into like the opportunity to kind of explore and, see something new. And I think that this is kind of a reminder for all of us that we need to kind of move with our community, kind of connect with others, find some ways to kind of incorporate something other than our little bubble that we're constantly in. So this may be a great week to plan something, to kind of strategize what it is that you're trying to do moving forward, kind of opening yourself up to the possibility that there's something, and a possibility to do something fun, to kind of enjoy the things that you have and what is available to you. Now, obviously, I'm not telling you to sit here and be like, I got to book like, this crazy vacation or anything like that. Sometimes it could just be a staycation in the sense of I'm going to just go explore something and kind of get out of my own little bubble, my own comfort zone, and try to see something that maybe I don't typically see, or go somewhere I don't typically go, maybe kind of change up the routine. I think that this is about adding that fresh energy. When I think of wands, I think of not just inspiration, like this deck has the wand suit named, but I think it's about creativity, it's momentum, it's movement, it's what lights our fire, what makes us feel excited about things. And 3s are about growth and abundance and expansion. And so this is almost saying, like, where is the possibility for expansion, the things that inspire us? Maybe there's something very creative that you've been wanting to do, but you've been too busy with everything else that it makes it very hard for you to kind of sit down and prioritize what you have going on. So I know for me, I've been kind of like, well, I want to do this and I want to do that, and like wanting to do all these creative things, but like not really prioritizing it. So now I'm kind of feeling a little bit of like this, I need to do something. I need to make a plan of action to kind of incorporate some more of this creative, inspiring energy into my week. And I think the Three of Wands here is kind of telling us, like, what is it that we can do to kind of call in this energy, to not be so stuck on what does this look like and what would this be like and is it going to be right, is it going to be perfect. It's not about perfection, it's about just inspiration, it's about just moving with the energy as it kind of shows up for you. Now, with what we need to release, we have death or rebirth. Now, I know this is one of these cards that really tends to scare off a lot of people with tarot, or they kind of feel like, oh my gosh, like it's going to be like a physical death. And when we think of tarot, a lot of the lessons are more metaphorical. They're more about the internalization of what's going on and how that fits into a lot of archetypes, especially with the major cards. And I think with this is almost saying, like, we need to release some things that, you know, are no longer viable for us, whether it's ideas, whether it's parts of the self, whether it's, you know, just expectations and, you know, some of the limitations we place upon ourselves about, like, who can we actually be when we just allow ourselves to show up the way that we're meant to. And I think with the death card, as much as it can feel very much like this very hard rebirth, it can feel very much like this metamorphosis that we're very scared to kind of move into. It's saying, hey, the way that we've been doing things served us to this point, and now we need to change. Something needs to shift. And so we need to release the sense of, what will it look like? What is it that I'm stepping into? Will I know what to do when I get there? And I think the death card here in this release position, especially for this week, is that it's almost saying, like, maybe we just need to stop trying to have it all figured out and planned out and, you know, have everything kind of fit into the boxes that we think that it should fit in. And maybe that's why we also have the strength card, is kind of understanding that we have everything within us to move through these energies that can feel very confusing or very challenging in some ways. So I think the death card is letting us know, like, there's something here that is going to happen that is going to be a little bit outside of our control, but we're ready for it because we're ready to kind of move into that next phase. We're ready to allow ourselves to, you know, move through these things. And so we just have to release the things that are no longer viable in our lives. It's like watering a dead plant, you know, there's no amount of water will bring it back. And we have to sometimes understand that a lot of things in our lives are like that too. So there's a fly in here. A lot of things in our lives are like that as well. And so we just have to be very aware that there's something here that just needs to be released. Maybe it's an ideology, an expectation, or even just, you know, a relationship or a connection that we feel is like, oh my gosh, like, I'm just not ready to release this. And this is kind of a reminder that there is a rebirth available to us here. But in order to have that rebirth, we have to have the death first, right? That thing needs to just end. And this is a reminder, like, we need to just kind of let things go instead of trying to hang on to things, especially if we know damn well that we're ready to kind of move into the next thing, but we're just hanging on to something that is no longer viable and no longer beneficial for us. We just need to allow ourselves that grief as we're moving through it and just kind of move into the next thing without fussing and fighting and trying to hang on to those things. Now, finally, with what we need to contemplate, we have the Three of Cups reverse. Now, typically, this is a card of, like, you know, coming together, celebrating. To me, it's very much a very feminine card, like coming together with your girlfriends, things of that nature. With this being reversed, and I think it also kind of calls back into that energy of Mercury being retrograde, we're kind of seeing a little bit of this sense of wanting to kind of pull back a little bit. Not to say you can't open yourself up to the possibility of communication with others, and this being the second of the three cards here. I think that maybe we're kind of reviewing some of the connections, relationships, friendships around us in some ways. And maybe we're looking at like, how am I communicating? What sort of connections am I creating? How am I showing up in these connections and relationships? Are they, allowing me to really be who I need to be? Do they feel supportive? Do I really feel like I can shine in those relationships and those connections? And I think with what we need to contemplate here is that maybe we need to kind of look at, again, how are we showing up in these relationships and connections? And are we taking the time out to kind of, not to say like reestablish, but maybe are we taking the time out to ensure that the relationships that we're maintaining have, the support and need, I guess, that is necessary for the relationship to continue to grow. I think a lot of us, we struggle with the maintenance of long-term friendships and relationships. But I feel like this is more about friendship, connection, things of that nature. And so maybe we're reviewing how we're showing up in our friendships. Maybe we're looking at like, what does it mean? Maybe we're not feeling super social. And so maybe this is something we need to kind of contemplate. Like, are we just going through the motions because we feel obligated? Are we just doing things even if it means like, that's not really what I want to do? I just want to be at home. I have other things I want to do instead. And so I think that this is just saying like, we need to kind of readdress some things within ourselves. Like, is it, allowing us to feel fortified when we connect in certain situations and relationships? Or again, is it something that feels very obligatory, so to speak, that feels a little bit more like we're, being told like, this is what I need to do, this is how I need to show up. Again, just feeling like we have to do certain things. And I think with the contemplation of this energy, is that maybe we need to look at, how are we choosing relationships that feel harmonious, that feel intuitively connected for us? Are we allowing ourselves to say, this is what I value, this is what I need, this is what I want? So I think with the Three of Cups, maybe it's also a reminder of, where do we maybe feel like a little bit of like a third wheel? Maybe we feel like we pour into a lot of relationships and connections that maybe don't really feed us in the way that we would want to have that connection and energy coming back to us. So I think that this week is, let me rewind. And I think the energy with Mercury in Leo and retrograde, with Saturn and Neptune also retrograding in Aries, we're getting a little bit of this like really understanding, are we seeing things quite clearly? Do we have good boundaries in the relationships that we have? Are we ready to kind of release the things that really aren't for us any longer? Are we allowing ourselves to really truly shine in the ways that will allow us to feel the most supported as we move into this next phase? So I think that this week is going to be one where it may not feel very quiet, but it is kind of asking us to take some time out to be a little bit more quiet, to kind of check back in with ourselves, to take a moment to kind of see what needs to be released for us to be able to have the expansiveness and the growth that we would like. Are we taking time out to do something creative for ourselves? Are we taking time out to kind of reestablish what our personal strengths are? Are we letting go of things that maybe we've been hanging on to because of societal or relational expectations that really don't align with the things that really truly make us feel happy? So I hope that makes sense. I hope you guys take it easy, stay safe, make good choices. And I want to say thank you so much for those of you that subscribe and watch my videos. I really hope you have a lovely week and that you're able to kind of take some time out to kind of connect with yourself again. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Bye.